Can you hear me? There we go. Okay, since it's 5 o'clock, we will call to order this Finance Committee of the Whole. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Attending in person, Mayor Miller,
Here.
Alderperson Busker,
Here.
and Alderperson Parker.
Here.
Attending via teleconference, Alderpersons Borneman,
Present.
McClanathan,
Present.
Ross,
Present.
Brashaw,
Here.
Mysick will be marked absent, and Berberet.
Here.
Staff present in person, Manager Bucas,
Present.
Police Chief Summers, Director Sutman, Clerk Anderson is present. Department heads attending via teleconference, Fire Chief Liggett,
Present.
Director Huffines,
Present.
and do I have any other department heads via teleconference?
Kirsten Hines is present.
Thank you, Kirsten.
Rob Boyer's present.
Oh.
Yeah, Michelle too.
Michelle Richter is present.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I should have called everyone.
Okay, thank you. So if you, those that can, please stand and join us with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Alderman Busker.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Alderman McClanathan, the meeting's yours.
Thank you, Mayor. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
That was a motion by Alderperson Brashaw, seconded by Alderperson Berberet. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Chair?
I'm sorry, we need to do a roll call.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Go ahead and do a roll call, Madam Clerk.
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw,
Aye.
and Berberet.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from the meetings on October 13th and October 19th of 2020. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved.
I heard Alderperson Brashaw. Who was the other one?
Busker.
Okay. So Alderperson Busker moved to approve, seconded by Alderperson Brashaw. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw,
Aye.
and Berberet.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, Madam
Madam
Clerk.
Clerk.
Next. Who was that? Was that Alderperson Brashaw?
Yes, Chair, I was just going to make a mention that Alderman Mysick.
Hello.
Thank you, Alderperson Brashaw. It looks like it's 5:05 p.m., and would just let the minutes reflect that Alderperson Mysick is now present. Thank you, Alderperson Brashaw. The next item on the agenda is public comments. Madam, are there any written public comments, or is there anybody on the phone line?
No.
Okay, thank you. The next item then is the continuation of the presentation of capital improvement budget. So we're at the portion for police, fire, and management information systems, presented by Manager Bucas, Director Richter, Police Chief Summers, Chief Liggett, and Director Sutton. I'm going to start off with Manager Bucas and let him delegate as appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll let the department heads kind of talk about their capital improvement plans right now, and some aren't as extensive as they have been in the past, but that's because of the various activities that are taking place at this time. So we'll start with the management information systems with Director Sutton.
I'm gonna have to turn this guy. Sorry. Okay. So the first item on our capital improvement budget is it's $20,000 for a city unified surveillance project. What that actually means is it's to put new cameras in all of our buildings. There's not really a unified or standardized system, and a lot of them are very old and a mishmash of different systems. The next project is for the police pole camera project. That's just to have some better eyes on locations that are maybe high crime or areas of interest. The police department cabling project is the third line for $12,000. That is, we have some some of the cabling for network cabling at the police department's a little dated. To some degree, it's inhibited our ability to upgrade systems. So I think that'd be a great thing to kind of set us up for the future. Network penetration, vulnerability assessment, and remediation is also $12,000. What that is a, you go out and you find a firm that specializes in basically attacking your network. It's all on the up and up, and what they do is they'll give you a full report when they're done, and it's kind of your roadmap to securing your systems. They actually go in and see what they can get to. And the last item on the list for $15,000 is this, it's 2 color copier scanner, the whole 9 yards printer copier units for here at City Hall. The ones we have here, just in the last month, or actually the last couple of weeks, have stopped doing some basic functions just because of their age. They don't communicate with their newer stuff. And the one upstairs, for example, has over 1 million prints on it. So they're well at the end of their life. Any questions?
Any questions for Director Sutton from council? Alderman Borneman.
Thank you. Director, what was the first thing you mentioned about surveillance? I couldn't hear that part.
I'm sorry, that was, it's basically just get new security cameras for City Hall and and police department, a few other buildings, to fix some outdated, and at some of our sites we have multiple systems running just to get full coverage, and it's even not full coverage at that point. So, it's just to improve that.
Thanks. That's all I had.
Any additional questions? I just note, I'm not sure if you guys are going to be using the same mic at City Hall. It was pretty quiet. I think we got everything you said, except with the exception of the follow-up by Alderman Borneman. But if you are using that same mic, just please note it is pretty quiet on the remote end.
Okay.
We'll now have the police chief give his presentation.
The police department capital plan is not that in depth. There's the 100,000 for the squad cars. That won't quite get us 3 as it's listed on there. It'll be 2, and there's some plans for the remaining funds to replace a different vehicle also. The Motorola radios are radios that the majority of our officers are using, have been end of life for a couple of years, so we need to start replacing those radios when we can that are compatible with the Starcon system. These radios are similar to what the fire department just got, but they'll be a little less expensive than the camera or the radios that the fire department had. It's my understanding that the fire alarm panel and the PD camera system have been moved to different different lines within the budget. And the only other thing on the capital plan for the police department is external PD lighting. We saw during the civil unrest that we could use some significant lighting upgrades outside the police department that would benefit the security of the department. That's all I have for the capital plan for the police department.
Chief, you said the squad cars was a reduction, right? Something like the 146 down to the 100. And how many vehicles did you say that's going to allow you to replace this year?
With the increase in price of the only police package anymore is an SUV, that's going to drive that number of vehicles we can receive down to about 2 when they're totally upfitted. So there'll be a little remaining left over in that.
And are you also stretching out the radio replacements over a longer period of time than initially you were looking to present a week ago?
We are. We'll just, as the money's available, we will make sure that we begin that process of replacing radios a little at a time.
Thank you. Questions for the chief?
Chair?
Alderperson Bradshaw.
Thank you. Chief, can you tell me what the PD camera system is? I'm sorry, I lost a little bit in the translation.
The surveillance system inside the police department and as well as outside have been on the list to upgrade for several years now, and we've removed that from the budgets to save the money. But as we saw in the civil unrest, that we need a significant upgrade in what we have at the police department.
Thank you, sir.
Chief, I mean, I don't see it in here, but do you have any contingency for any shots fired type of equipment in this budget or your other budget?
It's in the general fund budget under the police department.
You looking to discuss that later tonight?
If we get that far. I was thinking that, depending on the time, we may want to do all the general fund next week.
Other questions for the chief on this portion, the police fund 31 capital portion?
Chair.
Alderperson Burneman.
Chief, I'm assuming the PD camera system doesn't include additional pole cams or items similar to that?
No, that's specifically for the interior and just the external property of the police department.
Is there any plan to try to get more camera systems to use in investigations, like pole cameras?
There are somewhat that kind of, I've talked to the IT director a little on this, and it really depends upon the funds that are also talked about in terms of the reduction of the shots fired. Which direction that if we want to go as a city to combat that problem.
And is that something we're going to talk about at another meeting?
Yes, we're going to discuss it at the next Monday's committee of the whole meeting. And we did put in the police department budget $50,000 as some type of seed money. We're not sure how much it's going to cost at this time, or how big of an area we can cover.
If I'm looking at it correct, on it's line 755, software 50,000. So that's what we should know in our notes for the next time.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Other questions for the chief?
Mr. Chair.
One of the aldermen at the City Hall, I don't know which one that was.
Alderman Busker here.
All right, go ahead.
Chief, I noticed it's not on here, but what's the projected, we looked at it a few months ago, the projected
year for a new public, or police department for a new facility.
I'm sorry, I was planning ahead. What's the status of a new police facility? We have talked about possibly combining a new police station with the replacement of the Adams Street Fire Station, but that's about all we've done. With this pandemic going on right now, we're kind of looking at our resources, and maybe next year we could talk about it about this time next year after we got a better handle of everything that's happening.
Okay.
But right now, everything's basically on that is on hold.
All right. Just thinking, talking about doing improvements to the building. I realize lighting is a safety issue, but if we're going to be talking about a new building, I don't know how much more we want to invest in something there, but thank you.
Other questions for the chief on this fund? Okay, thank you, Chief. Are we, who are we moving on to next? Chief Liggett, or who do you want, Manager Beekers?
Yes, it'd be the fire chief.
Chief Liggett?
Thank you, Chair. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Very well. The next slide in the presentation is a detail of all the fire department projects that we have in the hopper for the capital program. What I did this year, I solicited input from my entire department staff on the needs of the department and projects that may or may not have been covered in previous years, just to make sure that we had a good understanding of what was needed from a building facility perspective, and went through and prioritized those projects and presenting to you this detailed list of things that we garnered from our troops this year. One of the projects that we were not able to complete in this calendar year that was actually in this year's budget was to replace the doors at Station 1 and Station 2, the garage doors. They're needing replacement. So we want to make sure we follow through with that project again next year. We did quite a bit of landscaping at Central Fire Station last year. We want to finish that project up. It's only about $1,500 worth of materials, and all the labor is being done by staff. So that's what that is. Moving on down, the Central Station carpet isn't holding up that well, and there's quite a few stains. We have had the carpets cleaned on a regular basis, but again, that's not holding up. So we're looking at replacing the carpet next year at Central Fire Station in the office area. Central Fire Station dormitory. As you are fully aware, we are not a all-male department, and our dormitory facilities at Central Fire Station don't permit any privacy. So what we are looking to do is purchase basically like office walls that we can put up in place of actual structural walls that would provide privacy to anyone that's sleeping in the dormitory at Central Fire Station. We have turnout gear lockers for Central Fire Station where we need to clean up some of the storage so it's not just thrown all over in the one storage room there. We need more lockers to fit out the gear storage that goes there. It's only $1,050 for that. Central Station security camera update. We have a couple cameras that aren't functioning, and then the security software cameras that we have, the recording device for those is going bad and needs to be replaced. So that's about $1,900. We have during heavy rains, some heavy leaking in the second floor of Central Fire Station, and that's caused by a chimney problem. So that chimney needs to be repaired and capped. That's $28,000. This last year, we discovered during the power outage that we exhibited on the south side of town just a few months ago that our generator did not have the capacity to run the fire station. We did not have the ability to have phones or computers. We only had enough energy to put on some hall lights, and that wasn't sufficient for us to have to be able to run an emergency operations center in the event of a disaster or run operations in the event of disaster. So we are upgrading the generator at Central Fire Station. Also, all of the office area, there's only one or two outlets in each of the office areas at Central Fire Station. That requires the use of several power strip-like extension cords. Not exactly up to fire code, and if we're going to hold the public to the fire code, we need to hold ourselves to the fire code. So that $2,000 is an upgrade to expand the electrical capacity in the office area of Central Fire Station. Replacement of hose, nozzles, and appliances. Typically, we spend about $5,000 a year on replacement hose, nozzles, and appliances. In this particular year, during our hose testing this fall, we had quite a bit of 5-inch hose fail, and that is our supply hose that we use on the fire engine to get water from the fire hydrant. So we're in need of replacing a great deal of that stock, so I increased that in this 1 year to make sure that we can get what we need there. Firefighting turnout gear, this is part of our cancer prevention program. On a rotation basis, we're replacing a certain number of sets of gear each year. And then any new hires that we might have, that helps us fund that. The $10,000 for self-contained breathing apparatus, that is typically what we would budget for maintenance, hydro testing, repairs, new batteries for the self-contained breathing apparatus. All of that is what we use there. You can see in the out years it does increase because what I'm looking to do in the future is to put money away if the budget would allow for us to be able to replace the stock of SCBA's at the 15-year mark. So that's what that extra money in the future is for. I have $11,000 in miscellaneous. Typically what that is money that we would use to purchase hand tools, things that we might need in the fire station, whether it's a new small hand tools, a new saw, a replacement hose for a hydraulic tool, things like that. That's what that miscellaneous is for. Additional air bottles and rack. Right now, we only have 2 air bottles for each air pack. That provides us an issue when we respond to fires. If we have one on the back of the firefighter and the firefighters have used their spare bottle, there is not a third bottle available for them to enter the fire environment. So what we're doing here is purchasing enough air bottles that we would have 3 bottles for every pack. And that would allow a bottle to be filled at Central Fire Station and a bottle to be on the back of the firefighter and a bottle to be in staging ready for me to refill the firefighter when they come out of the burning building. So that's what that $26,000 is for. The next line down is $90,000 for cardiac monitors. Our cardiac monitors are no longer, 3 of our cardiac monitors are no longer serviceable, and actually by FDA guidelines can no longer be utilized. That deadline was February 3rd of this last year. However, the federal government extended that deadline to February of next year. So that gives us a little bit of time to purchase these yet. We'll be doing that in the next year to replace those 3 defibrillators so we can be compliant with FDA guidelines. Rescue ventilation saws, 7,500. We have several old saws that are in disrepair, and what we're doing is replacing the saws on each of our rigs so that we have a functioning saw that we can rely upon to ventilate buildings and enter structures if we have to force entry with that particular saw. Our EMS bags, you can see that down $3,000 for EMS bags for ambulances. All of our EMS bags are cloth Cordura. So we're looking for a more biohazard resistant fabric, dealing with everything that we've got going on. So we're replacing all of our EMS bags. $1,100 for central station EMS cabinets. We have no way to lock our EMS supplies and protect those if doors accidentally left open and we're out of the station. There's no way to do that. So we're looking at replacing those cabinets and having locking cabinets. And then at Station 2, the kitchen appliances are pretty darn old. The dishwasher, the microwave, the range, and the refrigerator all need to be replaced. So there's $3,400 there for that. Does that make sense? Are there any questions on the itemization?
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Misick.
I had a question earlier on. I saw there was some window replacement. It doesn't look like that kicked in until 2022. Is there any urgency to that?
Excellent question. There is, right now we do not have any leaking as a result of the windows. We did have a leak in our workout room from one of the windows, and our highly talented, multi-talented staff has been able to fix that leak. The only issue with our windows is being able to open them for natural ventilation. None of our windows will open. They're either corroded shut or building shifting or expansion, you can't open the windows. So it's not an absolutely urgent issue, but it's something we would like to fix moving forward.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Yeah, follow up on that. So it sounds like this not being an urgent item is why you placed it further on the schedule. So it looks like you have 3 consecutive years where you're going to continue to build out. So you have a plan as to how to tackle that when there is funding available. Now, obviously, I'm noticing you have some other areas that require investment this year. Is that your reason for pushing back the window project?
Yes, absolutely. And it came down to prioritization. You know, I have the window leak fixed right now, but the chimney leaks and covers the floor in the kitchen, the dining room, and one of the restrooms with water. So I need to, make sure that we're dealing with that first. As far as the windows in the out years too, I don't have any formal bids to go off of for the program. So I think we're looking at it was a suggestion by my chief officers to do 3 phases and to work with someone that can help us plan that project and actually get bids, specify it, and then get bids for it. Right now, what you see in a budget is an estimated placeholder.
Alderman Burberry.
Thank you, Chair. Chief, regarding the SCBA, those are the backpack breathing apparatus, right?
Yes, sir.
And what is one of those cost roughly? You have 10,000 budget. Is that per each?
No, sir. Those are mostly maintenance items in that $10,000. A brand new self-contained breathing apparatus is about $4,500 with the tank and the mask and the harness and all of the things that go along with it.
You said 4,500?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 45. So when you look at the out years, you're looking at about 5 of them, 6 of them for the out years, correct? Buying new ones, or is that more maintenance?
No, what I would be doing would be placing money in fund balance that could be utilized for the mass purchase of replacement of the program.
Thank you very much, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Alderman Borneman.
Thank you. Chief, what do you do with the old defibrillators?
We trade those in. They get traded in with the company that we're purchasing from.
Okay, and then I had another question. With regards to the miscellaneous, could that not be used to purchase the stuff for the kitchen in the Station 2?
Certainly it could, but we wouldn't be able to, our ability to have the discretionary spending for other things we might need through the year won't be there.
So back to Station 2, what station is that again?
Actually, Station 2 is the Adams Street station, but this is actually supposed to be Station 1, so that is my typo. My apologies. Station 1, which is the Park Street station.
That's the one with the kitchen?
Yes.
On there? And
yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. My apologies.
Okay. That's all right. What's the possibility of getting these things repaired instead of buying new appliances?
They've been repaired several times, sir.
And where are you planning on getting the appliances from? Do you know?
We would have to price shop. That's what we're looking for.
And what were the items you said? You mentioned them.
It'd be the dishwasher, microwave, range, stove, and refrigerator.
Do you know of any programs where you'd be able to find them kind of off for a cheaper price than going to a store, or where did you intend to price shop, or is that something you don't know yet?
Well, we were going to look to local vendors first, support our local community. After that, if there's some GPO, that we certainly can look at GPOs that exist in either the Department of Public Works or through our professional organizations. There are several GPOs out there that we could look and price appliances.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
Other questions for Chief Liggett?
Mr. Chair, Alderman Busker here.
Go ahead, Alderman Busker.
Yeah, Chief, kind of going back with the police department's question here, we talked about, future replacing both the police department with the fire department with a new facility. How urgent is replacing the garage doors at Station 2 if we're going to be abandoning that building within the next 5 to 10 years? $13,000 is quite a bit of money there. Also, along with that, what's the difference in quality or whatnot between Station 1's doors and Station 2's, that one's $9,000 and one's $13,000?
Mm-hmm. That's an excellent question. It's the size and width of the door. The doors at Station 2 are narrower than the ones at Station 1, and the ones at Station 1 are taller also. So there's more door there to purchase. As far as the useful life of the doors at Station 1, at Station 2, right now the doors are in pretty bad shape. So They've needed to be replaced for about 2 years. If I can make them extend 5 to 10 years, I don't know if that's a possibility. Certainly, if we purchase doors now and at some point in the future demolish the station or replace the station, there's certainly the ability to salvage and sell components of the station at auction before demolition. That would permit us to recoup some of our costs as we surplus the building. So for right now, we're cycling these doors, 10, 15 times a day at least. And if you can imagine, it's up and down 15 times a day. Whether it's a public service call, training and fire inspections, ambulance call, they're being cycled quite a bit, much more than a residential door would be cycled. So it's pretty important that we take care of that piece, because if we can't get out the door, we can't get to the call.
Sure. Thank you.
Alderman Borneman.
Thank you. I just because I don't know the answer to this, that's why I'm asking the question.
Sure.
When you're talking about purchasing all this new equipment here, I'm assuming you're going to get a value for the older stuff, like the defibrillators you mentioned, and probably the appliances at some point. Do you have that factored in, into your costs here on all of them?
No, sir.
Okay. Is there a reason you don't?
I can't say that the declaring surplus equipment typically goes into the general fund. I don't know that it actually offsets a purchase. So when we do a surplus and we receive funds for that, I believe it just goes to the general fund. A trade-in on the defibrillators, I have no idea what those would be. I don't know what value they would have because they're not serviceable. They can't be used anywhere. So maybe a third world country could buy them and use them, but here in the United States, they're not serviceable. So the technology can't be used anymore. So I don't know what their value would be even on trade-in at this point.
All right, that makes sense. Thanks.
Further questions on this portion of the fire chief's presentation before going on to part 2? All right, Chief, why don't you move on to the next part?
Thank you very much. The next part is the actual budget document. The itemization is how we put together the budget request, and this is what it looks like. The most significant change here is the request to add in the GEMT revenue, the ground emergency medical transport revenue. We completed our cost reporting this last year or this last month, and we're estimated to get about $1,091,000. So we conservatively estimated at the $1 million mark. That then goes into the fire improvement fund. There is a redistribution of $500,000 to Illinois Department of Public Health, and then $985,000 to the city, transfer to corporate for, I believe the city manager has that set aside for supporting operations and also funding fire police pensions.
That's correct.
So the remainder of what you see there is what I detailed in the previous slide.
Chief, talking about detailed in the previous slide, and on this one, you've got $195,000 on line 741 machinery and equipment in excess of $1,000. Are you saying that's all broken down? Previously, you'd had something on last week's slide in regards to new ambulance apparatus replacement schedule. Are either of those included in that, or are those taken out for now?
Those have been taken out.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. If you look at, on the fire improvement fund spreadsheet for the budget, if you look at the expense line where it says 720, 741, 742, the detailed items are up above. It doesn't show the extension. I'm sorry. I did have the extension in my that I gave to the city manager, but there is an extension. The extension you would see for all of line 741 that totals that 198,000, and that would be hose nozzles and appliances all the way down to the ventilation saws.
Not to get too deep into the discussion of what you've already done, but assuming the amount of investments you're looking to make in Central Station, as well as other ones down the road on it, is it fair to say that regardless of where discussions go in regards to new facility, combined facility, closed facility, et cetera, Central Station is going to be included in any of those scenarios?
I don't know if I understand would we close the fire station? Is that what you're saying?
Alderman Busker had talked about, and I think one of the other aldermen had mentioned, what happens down the road if we're doing a combined, a building, police, fire, if you're closing down, one of the stations, things of that nature. Again, all hypothetical at that point, but in light of the amount of money you're putting into Central, is it safe to say, regardless of those discussions, Central Station would remain one of those open stations under pretty much any of the scenarios you guys might be looking at for down the road? Is that
sure? Yes.
Sure?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Chair?
Go ahead, Alderman Burberry.
Thank you. Chief, could you please explain again the GEMT revenue? Where does that come from?
The ground emergency medical transport revenue is revenue that's paid to the state of Illinois. Actually, it's paid to the local municipality to provide service to Medicaid patients. So patients who are in Medicaid, not Medicare, that we transport every year. What ends up happening is Medicaid only pays a small portion of what we charge. For instance, let's say Medicaid only paid $200 and we charged $1,000, then we would lose the difference between that. So what we charge or what it costs us to do the call and what we receive in revenue from Medicaid. What the GEMT revenue does is it permits us to get part of that money back, the lost revenue that Medicaid doesn't pay us for. What ends up happening is they give the city of Freeport the full difference between that $200 and that $1,000. They give us the full difference, and then we give half of that back to the state of Illinois, and then we are allowed to keep half of that. So it's an increase of about $500,000 in city revenue for us to provide that service.
Thank you very much. And do I see this is the first year that's occurred, because in the 2019 and 2020 budget, it did not exist, or it's being kept
That's
different
correct.
right now?
That's correct. We brought this to council back in August to move forward with the GEMT application. We had some cost reporting that we had to put together and then submit to the state of Illinois and the federal government. We did that cost reporting piece, and our program has, as far as I know, not had any issues with being accepted. I'm still waiting on confirmation from the IDPH that we've been accepted. And then what will happen is on a quarterly basis, we'll be able to recoup that revenue from the state of, or from the federal government, and then we would end up paying half of that on a quarterly basis to the state of Illinois. But yes, this is a new program, and we've talked about it a little bit previously. One of the things that we are going to have to examine in the coming year is our rate structure. Our cost to do an ambulance call is about $1,035, thereabouts, not having the spreadsheet in front of me. And we charge a resident about $835. So we'll have to make up a little bit of that difference. That's one of the requirements of the program, is that we're charging what it costs us to do the work. So something we'll have to examine moving forward. Just remember that if we do increase our cost, our base cost for our calls, it doesn't impact any of the poor. They will end up paying exactly what they pay right now with their Medicaid, and those that end up having to increase private pay through their insurance, whatever their deductible is right now will remain their deductible, and it will help us increase the amount of revenue coming in to support operations and then our as we move forward.
Thank you very much for that explanation, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Chief, didn't we just address our rate structure within the last year?
You did before my arrival. That would have been about 18 months ago. We talked a little bit about it. We did some rates. I don't remember what we did that on. Oh, that was the rates on the specialty teams. Remember, we just a couple months ago, we talked about specialty team rates and the FEMA comparison. So when we deploy the specialty teams, that's what we talked about. It wasn't the ambulance. But the ambulance rates were adjusted prior to my arrival. It's one of the things that City Manager Crow informed me of when I came in.
Yeah, I do think that was Chief Allen. I remember his presentations on that portion, as well as what you were saying in regards to your specialty. So, okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Further questions for Chief Liggett? Okay, thank you, Chief. Manager Vukas, seeing as we've got about 12 minutes left in tonight's portion, where would you like to go at this point?
I'd like to go back to the Capital Equipment Fund just to kind of do a brief synopsis for you. If you go back 3 slides. The Capital Equipment Fund is fund number 31, and basically it's how we fund our police vehicles and our public works vehicles. This coming year in 2021, we're anticipating our gas tax receipts and that's gasoline tax receipts being about $180,000. We were collecting over $200,000 until the pandemic hit, and those receipts still have not really caught up. They're still behind. IML is still predicting that the state motor fuel tax revenues will be a little on the light side as well. So we're only budgeting $180,000 this year, but we do have approximately over $400,000 in the fund that we're going to take $100,000 over to help us purchase the equipment that we need. And as Police Chief mentioned earlier tonight, line item 31-02-741, that's vehicles, radios. That $20,000 is for the police department's radio replacement. And then that $100,000 directly below that is for their 2 vehicle replacements. And now at the bottom of the line items, under lease payment principal and lease interest payments, those are the vehicles that we are currently leasing in the public works departments, which include the hook trucks and our enterprise leases. So that makes up the bulk of that, those 2 line items. So our capital equipment line item is pretty well it's pretty well budgeted out and spoken for, As I said, the gas tax, we're not anticipating as much this year, so we're going to have to tap into our fund balance a little bit. And I'll be more happy to answer any questions. I think most of those have already been answered when the other departments gave their reports.
Any follow-up questions for Manager Bucus on this matter? Alderman Borneman.
Manager Bucus, it was a little difficult to hear you towards the end, but I heard you mention that, I think I got what you said, but just could you clarify about having to tap into a fund?
Yes, we have a little over $400,000 in our fund balance for fund number 31, the capital equipment fund. And we are going to have to transfer about $100,000 out of that fund balance to balance out our budget this year.
Go ahead with the follow-up.
I see on line 334, court supervision fees. That's collected from ordinance violations?
We receive different fees from the court system depending on what the offense was, and those monies go into different categories. This court supervision fees is just one of them that we collect, and it's not a lot of money we collect each year.
I was curious why that's on this slide. Those fees go directly to capital improvements.
It was
capital equipment.
It was something that was started many years ago, and it's just been there. That's one way we help pay for the police radios and police vehicles and any other type of equipment they may need.
Well, that makes sense to have it here. When was the last time the revenue from that specific line item has been kind of dissected to see if we're, if it's being appropriately collected based on the amount of tickets? I don't know if it's a fee structure or just about how things are handled in the court system. When was the last time that was kind of reviewed formally?
Formally, I don't think it ever has been since it's been established.
Do you think that it should be?
We have different fees that we collect that we receive from the court system, and this is just one of them. And it's one.
Right. I guess I'm thinking of as a whole from the court system, not just this specific line item.
There again, it's all a matter of time and energy, and as we talk about personnel issues, as we develop the budget, that's another reason why we need to fill the position that we have vacant in the finance department right now.
So you don't have any concern about how it's being handled based on your familiarity with it? Obviously, I'm not familiar with it.
Basically, we would have to go and audit the county's books, and I don't really think they would appreciate us going there and doing that. What we do is we compare, well, we don't do that either. What we receive from the county are various fines and forfeitures based on somebody either pleading guilty, not pleading guilty, being found guilty, whether it's restitution and everything else. And depending on what the incident was, whether it was a local ordinance or state ordinance, we receive appropriate or fine money for those incidences. And depending on the incident, it goes into a various fund. Most of it goes in the general fund, but when it comes to supervision fees, they go into the capital equipment fund.
Okay. That's all I have.
Anything further on this capital equipment fund portion?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I spoke over you. Can you repeat that?
Anything further from any other questions? Okay, hearing no further questions on that, obviously we've incorporated the budget discussion into it. We haven't gotten to library grants and general fund. We're at 4 minutes. I think it's a good stopping point for tonight. However, Manager Bucas, looking at next week, I assume, well, one, do we have a lot of other items for the committee of the whole, or do we just want to have an elongated finance committee of the whole next week, or at least primary finance committee of the whole next week, so we can kind of dig in, because we're already getting to the second week of November here.
Right. I believe we have at least 2 or 3 presentations on the committee of the whole next week, and plus a couple of other items. We would like to move forward with the budgets that are still have to be reviewed. So I would just kind of suggest on planning on having a long night.
Yeah, let's figure out how we want to do that flexibility-wise. Between now and then, because it would be nice to have more than an hour on looking at what's coming up and coming ahead. It would be nice to have a nice long block to really go through a lot of these, particularly where we're getting at deadlines for levies, notifications, and things of that nature.
Mr. Chair, would it be possible to maybe for one time start before 5 o'clock to be able to get the finance taken care of? What, anybody have thoughts on that?
Or start the regular cow later.
Well, if we can start the regular cow at 6, maybe, if we could start at 4:30 instead of 5 o'clock for the finance portion?
We could also have 2 cow meetings, or excuse me, 2 finance cow meetings on Monday night as well. One maybe before, like 5 o'clock, like we've been doing, and try to get a couple of the smaller budgets out of the way to anticipate how long the regular cow is going to last, and then have another special cow meeting for finance committee afterwards, where we could dig into the general fund and any other funds that we need to.
That'll work. Yeah, I think we need to make substantial headway on the general part next week, so we can stay on schedule. So I think we got to have a gist as to how we're looking to proceed on it. So I'll just move on from there. Any other input from any other council members on that? I'm seeing some shaking heads no. So all right. Anything else on budget discussion before we go to public comment? Okay. Public comments. Is there any public comment? Madam Clerk, do we have the call-in line for this meeting? I don't recall. Do we?
It was given as an option.
Okay. And there's nobody calling in?
Nope, I have the phone right here. It's not ringing.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Moved by Alderman Busker.
Okay, that was moved by Busker, I believe. Is that correct, Busker?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Seconded by Berberet. Just one comment before we do that. Once we adjourn this, recall that in your email was given the secondary link. It might take Kurt a minute or so to hook that up, but go look through your secondary link. Any other comments on the motion to adjourn? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw,
Aye.
Meisig,
Aye.
and Berberet.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
All right, thank you. At 6 o'clock, this meeting is adjourned. I'll see you in a few moments. Thank you.
I need to grab a folder and I'll be right back.
I'm guessing you must want to have a few moments to talk about something. Yep, 3 minutes. 3 minutes, and is it on the agenda?
No, no, I'm going to invite the city council to the rules on December 2nd.
Okay, so I'll ask the council if they wouldn't mind to speak at the first public comment.
You can go to
followed by the To enable audio controls, please enter your audio PIN followed by the pound or
Okay, good evening. Linda, would you please give the invocation?
Okay, let's bow. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you and praise you for this night. We thank you, Father, that as we sit here on the eve of the most important day, possibly in this nation, Father, we come before you and we thank you for your love and mercy and your grace that you pour out upon us. Father, the words that came to me is love your neighbor as yourself. Who is your neighbor? It's the one you're working with. It's these people sitting here together, working for the good of our city. So I just released the words over 1 Corinthians 13 over this council as they meet tonight and over this city and our nation. Love is large and incredibly patient. Love is gentle and consistently kind to all. It refuses to be jealous when blessing comes to someone else. Love does not brag about one's achievements nor inflate its own importance. Love does not traffic in shame and disrespect nor selfishly seek its own honor. Love is not easily irritated or quick to take offense. Love joyfully celebrates honesty and finds no delight in what is wrong. Love is a safe place of shelter, for it never stops believing the best for others. Love never takes failure as a defeat, for it never gives up. Love never fails. So, Father, I just release the love, mercy, and grace of the Lord Jesus Christ over all of these here tonight that are making such important decisions for our city. Father, and instill the heart of love of them and for our city in them, Lord Jesus. And God, I just release this fullness of the shalom, which is the peace of God, over this meeting tonight and over this city tonight and in the coming days ahead. And the shalom in Hebrew means peace, harmony, wholeness, completeness, prosperity, welfare, and tranquility. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Linda. Now that it is 6:07, we'll officially call this regular meeting of the City Council to order. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Attending in person, Mayor Miller.
Here.
Alderpersons Ross.
Here.
Parker.
Here.
Busker.
Here.
Alderpersons attending via teleconference, Borneman. Will be marked absent, McClanathan. Peter, can you hear me?
Yes, I thought I said here.
I'm sorry, maybe I can't hear you. Brashaw,
Is it okay now? All right.
Here.
Mysick,
Here.
and Berberay.
Here.
Director Sutman, are you seeing that Alderperson Borneman is on?
He is logging in now.
Okay, we will move to staff present in person. Manager Bucas,
Here.
Director, staff in person. Director Sutman. Police Chief Summers. And Clerk Anderson. Did I miss anybody? Is there anybody sitting over there, Matt? Okay. Staff attending via teleconference. Director Richter.
Present.
Director Hines.
Present.
Director Boyer.
Present.
Chief Liggett.
Present.
Director Huffines.
Present.
We will go back to Attorney Borneman. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I'm present.
Thank you. And also present in person, Attorney Zito.
Present.
Have I missed any department heads or anyone? Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, if you are able to, please stand and join us with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Alderman Mysick.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That puts us to item number 1. This is approval of the agenda. Is there such a motion?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Ross for the approval of the agenda. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Mysick.
Aye.
Berberay.
Aye.
Borneman.
Aye.
McClanathan.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Busker.
Aye.
And Brashaw.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Item number 2 is the approval of the minutes from the meeting of October 19th, 2020. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Who was the second?
My second, Burberry.
Okay, so we have a motion made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Berberay for the approval of the minutes. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Mysick.
Aye.
Berberay.
Aye. Aye.
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
and Brashaw.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Item number 3 is public comments. However, we have none on agenda items. We'll move on to item number 4, which is the consent agenda. All the items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and acted as one motion unless there's a member of the council who would like to have something removed for further discussion. Seeing none, the consent agenda consists of A, approving and placing on file proclamation honoring the nation's First Responder Day, October 28th, 2020, a proclamation for National Apprenticeship Week from November 8th to the 14th, 2020, the Building Commission minutes from March 11th, the Historic Preservation Commission minutes from August 18th, the Board of Fire and Police Commission minutes from August 25th, the Planning Commission minutes from September 10th, the Greater Freeport Partnership Quarterly Report for the third quarter 2020, and the Executive Director Mark Williams report for dated October 28th, 2020. Also is B, the approval of the finance bills payable in the total of $561,983.75, and C, the approval of payroll for pay period ending October 24th, 2020 in the total of $450,597.95. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
So moved.
We have a motion made by Alderman Parker, seconded by Alderman Brashaw. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Mysick,
Aye.
Berberay,
Aye.
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
and Brashaw.
Aye.
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you. Item number 5 is second reading of ordinance 2020-55. Madam Clerk, could you please read this?
Ordinance adding Chapter 857 Meeting Halls, amending Chapter 608 and 806 regarding BYOB regulation.
Thank you. Manager Bucus.
Thank you, Your Honor. The city currently does not have any regulations in place pertaining to meeting halls and BYOBs, also known as bring your own bottle facilities, which poses a potential threat to the public health and safety of persons in and around such facilities, which can involve a large number of people in a single location. The licensings of meeting hall facilities and BYOB licenses are 2 separate licenses. Meeting hall licenses will prohibit activities that are particularly concerning, such as allowing alcohol to be brought in or served on the premises, except in accordance with the new section, Chapter 806, gaming and wagering, etc. Under the current codified ordinances, there are no regulations prohibiting a meeting hall from allowing people to bring alcohol on the premises, and the licensings of BYOB will require meeting halls and social clubs to obtain a license in order for persons to bring alcohol beverages into the premises for consumption. And it's staff's recommendation that council approve the meeting hall and BYOB regulations as presented.
Conversations, council. Seeing
Mayor?
none? I'm sorry, was there some?
Mayor?
Alderman McClanathan?
Thank you. This is one of the ordinances that I totally understand what we're trying to do here, and it's just been a little awkward in reviewing the application of it. And to be frank, I haven't come up with anything better, in regards to revisions. So, but I do definitely think this is one that we're going to have to kind of implement and make sure that it's proceeding under the way that that we're looking for, and if not, we have the option of bringing it back and making adjustments as we go forward. So I'd be comfortable moving forward tonight on it. With that said,
Anything else, council? Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll on the passage of ordinance 2020-55?
Mysick,
Aye.
Berberay,
aye.
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw.
Aye.
The ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you. Item number 6 is the second reading of ordinance 2020-56. Could you please read this?
Ordinance amending Chapter 242 Fire Department, Section 242.10G, probationary period, and Chapter 240 Police Department, Section 240.09G, probationary period of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Freeport.
Thank you. Chief Liggett?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I reported out at the Committee of the Whole, our last council meeting, for the first reading, and this council meeting. This is an ordinance that brings into compliance our extension of probationary periods for the police and fire department. Prior to our rules allowed this at the discretion of the chief without any approval of the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners. This adds the required checks and balances of the Illinois state law to make sure that any extension of probation is approved by the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners. Asking the City Council to approve this ordinance tonight so that we can move forward with our publishing the Police and Fire Commission rules.
Thank you, Chief Liggett. Questions, Council? Alderman Parker?
Yeah, motion to move that to approve.
Second.
Actually, I don't need a motion, just discussion, and then we'll move on to that. So is there any other? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Misick,
Aye.
Berberet,
Aye.
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
and Brashaw.
Aye.
The ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you. Item number 7 is the second reading of ordinance 2020-58. Madam Clerk, would you please read this?
An ordinance authorizing the City of Freeport to borrow $12 million in funds from the Public Water Supply Loan Program and authorizing loan agreement for lead service line replacement Phase 2.
Thank you. Director Boyer.
Thank you, Your Honor. As you'll recall, when we brought this up the last time, I had pointed out the EPA has kind of changed their rules regarding the lead service line replacement program forgivable funding. It went from $2 million increments to 4. The EPA is requesting the city pass an ordinance to reflect that change and approve the authorization to apply for $12 million in loan forgiveness. This will take us through phase 2, 3, and 4 of the lead service line replacement program. So I'm requesting the council approve the ordinance authorizing the city to borrow the funds for the Public Water Supply Loan Program and authorizing the loan agreement.
Thank you, Director Boyer. Questions, concerns, Council?
Mayor?
Alderman McClanathan?
Thank you. And Director, you indicated that these entire funds are eligible for 100% loan forgiveness? That's correct. 100% of the loan is eligible for loan forgiveness.
Anything else, Council? Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Misick,
Aye.
Berberet,
Aye.
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw.
Aye.
The ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you. Item number 8 is the second reading of ordinance 2020-59. Could you please read this?
An ordinance of the City of Freeport authorizing the sale of certain personal property owned by the city. This is for police department firearms and accessories.
Thank you. Chief Summers.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, nothing has changed since the last council meeting. This is routine in nature that the police department has to dispose of these firearms. And it's just that time of the year where we need to take action on that. So we're just asking for the approval of the ordinance so we can begin that process.
Questions for Chief? Seeing none, thank you. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Misick,
Aye.
Berberet,
Aye.
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
and Brashaw.
Aye.
And that ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you. Item number 9 is the first reading of ordinance 2020-60. Could you please read this?
An ordinance of the City of Freeport adopting a supplemental Families First Coronavirus Response Act policy and associated forms.
Thank you. Manager Bucus.
Thank you, Your Honor. Back in April of this year, we adopted a coronavirus response in regards to the acts that were created by both the federal government and well, actually the state didn't do anything. It was all federal laws that were passed that dealt with emergency paid leave for employees. And things are changing and all the time, and now we have some new rules and regulations that have come out. So we need to amend the prior policy that we had so that we're in conformance with the new Families First Coronavirus Act and the Emergency Paid Leave Act as well. So staff's recommending that council approve first reading tonight, as well as suspend the rules and adopt the ordinance on second reading so that we could immediately implement the changes that are required to take place.
Is there any questions concerning the ordinance?
Motion to move forward.
Second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Ross to move ordinance 2020-60 on. Did someone say they had a question? Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Alderman Brashaw.
Thank you. I was going to request suspension of the rules.
Second.
Misick.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor made by Alderman Brashaw, seconded by Alderman Misick for the suspension of the rules. Suspension of the rules is non-debatable and was passed by a 2/3 majority. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll on the passage of suspending the rules only?
Misick.
Aye.
Berberet.
Aye.
Borneman.
Aye.
McClanathan.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Busker.
Aye.
And Brashaw.
Aye.
That passes 8-0.
So now before you, council, is the second reading of ordinance 2020-60. Are there any other discussions concerning this? Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Misick.
Aye.
Berberet.
Aye.
Borneman.
Aye.
McClanathan.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Busker.
Aye.
Brashaw.
Aye.
The ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you. Item number 10 is the adoption of Resolution 2020-58. Could you please read this?
Resolution authorizing and approving an agreement with Whipfly to provide auditing services to the city.
Thank you. Director Richter?
Thank you, Your Honor. At the Committee of the Whole meeting on October 13th, City Manager Bucus presented the information on this item. The city has back in January of 2018, the city went out for a request for a proposal for audit services. At that time, Klein Hall was selected for a period of 3 years. Over the course of the 3 years, Klein Hall merged in with Whipfly, and we have worked with them until the completion of that 3 years. At this time, the staff would like to recommend pursuing the additional 3-year agreement with Whipfly for audit services. They have submitted their prices for the following 3 years, and I do want to point out that the Government Finance Officers Association considers a best practice to work with an auditing firm for at least 5 years. Also, Finance Department feels that it will be a benefit to the department and the city if we work with an auditor who has been with us prior to our major software conversion that's going on currently. Are there any questions?
Madam Mayor?
Alderman Borneman?
This is Alderman Lysick.
Oh, my apologies. Alderman Misick.
Director Richter, thank you for bringing this topic and for your presentation at the Committee of the Whole. As I recall, when you looked into this contract with Whipley, there also was some cost savings associated with that. Could you elaborate a little bit on the cost savings as to what items were selected for the service?
I'm not quite sure about the cost savings. I do know if you happen to have that, the cost comparison document, the FY19B does look a lot larger than the previous years at $40,000. The reason for that was because they had a lot of work to do to convert with that 8-month stub year in order to change us from a regular fiscal year to a calendar year, from May to April to a calendar year. That was kind of a fluke. We don't expect that again, but there's a lot of reports that are in our audit that need to be redone because of that 8 months. So that's where that 40,000 came from. And I'm not sure if that's where you're seeing the cost savings or why the amounts past that seem less. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, I think you did. Thank you, Director Richter.
Mayor?
Alderman Berberet?
Thank you. Director Richter, in your memo, you mentioned government entities should enter into a multi-year agreement for at least 5 years. I was not present at the call last week or did we or did we not seek quotations for 5 years? But I know that the proposal is for only 3 years.
No, we did not go out for formal bids on this. We did not ask for an additional 5 years. Since we've already been with them for 3, we thought 3 would be more appropriate rather than, then we would be with them for 8 fiscal years. And that, to me personally, we really need to go out for bids before that length of time. Again, at the end of this one, I think we definitely need to go out for bids.
So
It's always
at
good
the
to
end
switch.
of the end of 2022, you would go out for bid, Whipley and who else?
Last time we went out, there were 8 different firms that we sent to, so I assume we would do the same.
Thank you very much for your explanation.
Madam Mayor.
Alderman Busker?
Yeah, making a motion, we adopt resolution R 2020-58.
Is there a second? Alderman Parker? Any other discussion, council? Then we have a motion on the floor made by Alderman Busker, seconded by Alderman Parker. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Misick?
Aye.
Berberet?
Aye.
Borneman?
Aye.
McClanathan?
Aye.
Russ?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Busker?
Aye.
Brashaw?
Aye.
The resolution is adopted 8-0.
Thank you. Item number 11 is the adoption of Resolution 2020-60. Could you please read this?
Resolution of the City of Freeport authorizing and approving an agreement with Fairgram to provide engineering and design services for the lead service replacement Phase 2 project.
Thank you. Director Boyer?
Thank you, Your Honor. The city has a number of lead service lines that convey potable water to the residents. The city is currently in Phase 1 of a 4-phase plan to remove and replace lead service lines. Funding for all 4 phases is through the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency loan program and are eligible for 100% loan forgiveness. The city is preparing for Phase 2 of the lead service line replacement program and requires professional services to move forward with the engineering design. The city has approved a similar agreement with
Discussion, council?
Mayor.
Alderman McClanathan?
As Fair Graham was in charge of phase one on the services, these fees are part of the program that is eligible for 100% loan forgiveness, and they have familiarity with what we're doing in regards to this. I'd make a motion to adopt Resolution 2020-60.
Second.
Second.
Is there any further discussion, council? Then we have a motion on the floor made by Alderman McClanathan, seconded by Alderman Ross for the adoption of Resolution 2020-60. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Mysick,
Aye.
Berberet,
Aye.
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted 8-0.
Thank you. Item number 12 is the adoption of Resolution 2020-61. Madam Clerk, could you please read this?
Resolution of the City of Freeport authorizing execution and amendment of Federal 5311 grant agreement.
Thank you. Director Hines?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So we received a notice of state award for $171,443 from the 5311 Operation Assistance Program grant. This is funded by the Illinois Department of Transportation, Office of Intermodal Project Implementation. And the grant funds will be used to provide public transportation services through Pretzel City Transit. The 5311 transportation grant requires a 50% match, which all comes from service agreements with local organizations for transportation. And staff would recommend the approval of this grant agreement so that we can be reimbursed these funds for our operation expenses. The strategic plan alignment is with the connected, accessible, and safe community.
Questions for
Madam
Director?
Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you. Director Hines, have we applied for the same grant in years past? Yes, we have. We've been using these the 5311 grant funds for some time now. Follow up?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I had problems with my mic there for a moment. Director Hines, we have budgeted for this that 50% match amount. Is that correct? Yeah, and so the 50% match, it comes from, so like I said, it comes from the service agreements that we have in place. So it's not actually coming out of the city pocket to meet that match requirement. It's coming out of the service agreement. Thank you, Director Hines. Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for approval.
Second.
Second.
If there's no further discussion, council, I have a motion made by Alderman Brashaw, seconded by Alderman Busker for the adoption of Resolution 2020-61. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Mysick,
Aye.
Berberet,
Aye.
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted 8-0.
Thank you. Item number 13 is the adoption of Resolution 2020-62. Could you please read this?
Motion to approve bid and adopt resolution of the City of Freeport authorizing and approving an agreement with Lesher Heating and Air Conditioning, allowing for touchless plumbing upgrades to city-owned buildings.
Thank you. Manager Bucus.
Thank you, Your Honor. Through the CARES Act that has been approved by the federal government and the state of Illinois, we're eligible for funds to try to make our facilities, I don't want to say germ-free, but at least help us through the pandemic that we're going through. We went out for bids to have all our faucets and other plumbing fixtures that we normally have to touch go touchless, and we received 2 bids back. We went out for formal bids, received 2 back, and Lusher was the low bid. It's staff's recommendation that the city accept a bid from Lusher Heating and Air Conditioning in the amount of $92,000. One of the things we're looking at is we have to have this project completed by the end of December, or actually a little bit prior to the end of December, so we could get our request in for reimbursement. And they felt that they can meet that short time frame, and they have done work for us in the past, and we've always been satisfied with their work. So staff's recommendation that council award the contract to Lushers in the amount of $92,000.
Thank you. Discussion?
Mayor,
Alderman McClanathan?
thank you. So Manager Bucus, do we expect that all of this $92,000 will be reimbursed by the CURES grant?
Yes, it's one of the eligible items that is being reimbursed.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor,
Alderman Ross?
I'd like to go ahead and make the motion to approve Resolution 2020-62.
Second.
All right, we have a motion made by Alderman Ross, seconded by Alderman Busker to adopt Resolution 2020-62. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Misick.
Aye.
Berberay.
Aye.
Borneman.
Aye.
McClanathan.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Busker.
Aye.
And Brashaw.
Aye.
Resolution 2020-62 is adopted, 8-0.
Thank you. Next is item number 14, which is reports of department heads. Finance.
No report, Your Honor.
Thank you. Community and Economic Development.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to give an update on the permits for the month of October. So we had 78 total permits come in October, and it brought in $11,926.23 in permit fees. And then the total combined project cost for all of the permits that were issued was $848,531.41. So we had another good month of activity.
Mayor.
Madam Clerk?
Director Hines, could you repeat the amount of projected costs? Project costs, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was $848,931.41.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Public Works?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm just going to report that the LEAF program is going smoothly, and we're almost through the city 4 times. So everything's going quite well. That's all I have.
Thank you. Fire Department.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just wanted to give you an update on the hiring process. Our applications closed last Friday. We had a total of 39 applicants. 3 of the applicants did not meet the age requirement, so there's 36 eligible to test. Of those 36 eligible to test, 4 are females, 2 are Hispanic males, 1 black female, and 1 of the females is a minority female. So we're excited about moving forward with the testing process, and our written test and process orientation will occur on December 5th at the library, and we'll keep you posted on how things go after that. That's all I have to report this evening.
Thank you, Chief. Police. Thank you, Chief. And IT. Thank you. Library.
Nothing tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. And so we'll move on to item number 15, City Manager.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just have one thing I'd like to bring up, and that's the fact that City Hall and all our facilities have been closed except for the library to visitors. In order to do business with the city in person, you have to make an appointment. We have put these restrictions in place because of the COVID-19 virus and the effect it's having. Last week, it hit over 16% of positivity rates, and so we're taking measures now to prevent anything happening to our workforce at this time. We're also having the Public Works crews meet in separate locations again, like we did this spring, and we're separating them and keeping them separate as much as possible. And that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And I just would like to remind council as well as our constituents that if you did not early vote already, please vote tomorrow and exercise your right to have your voice heard. We'll move on to council. Alderman Misick.
Thank you, Mayor. Want to thank the city manager and department heads for the hard work on putting the budget numbers together. Looking through all of those materials, many of those we did not go through yet in the committee meeting. There's a lot of details gone into that, a lot of hard work, and really appreciate on what it takes to get those numbers to where they are. So I truly want to thank all of you for that. Also, a note to the public that I realize this Halloween was a difficult one, as a lot of our rates being higher and the council making some decisions here on how to restrict that a bit more this year. But just thankful for the families who were able to make safe choices, and just thankful that we're making efforts to keep our community safe. And also like to mention a big thank you to our first responders and those out. Also having to put themselves at risk and being out and doing their job very well. So thank you to all of those. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Misick. Alderman Berberet.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just like to pass along that I've received many compliments from our citizens about the LEAF program, a lot of the road patching, and it's all looking good. They've gone by my home 4 times already at least. It's amazing compared to previous years. So, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Borneman. Alderman Borneman.
Yeah, I was on mute. Sorry about that. With regards to the reopening process, I've encouraged the city manager and appreciate what you're doing with regards to limited access to the facility and appointments only. Are we still technically under our City of Freeport employee and elected officials COVID-19 reopening policy and guidelines?
I'm not sure what policy you're referring to. Can you repeat that again?
Yeah, the thing that was sent out in July, the City of Freeport employee and elected officials COVID-19 reopening policy and guidelines we all had to sign. That's still kind of how we're practicing at City Hall?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Making sure, okay. So
Yes.
people are supposed to be wearing masks
Right.
when they're in the City Hall?
Yes, that's correct.
And that includes council chambers?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I have.
Alderman McClanathan.
Thank you. I'd just like to echo the admonishment for folks, if they haven't already voted, to go ahead and get out and vote. It's a great responsibility, one we often take for granted when we live in a community and a country where we've grown up around it, but it really is a special and unique thing. So if you haven't exercised your right to vote, I strongly encourage you to go out and do it tomorrow. And I'd also remind us that, it's easy, particularly online, on TV, to see, what I call maybe kind of internet warriors and things of that nature. But just remember, at the end of the day, a lot of the folks that you agree with, but also a lot of folks that you disagree with, you're rubbing shoulders for in the community. So exercise your right to vote, advocate strongly for your positions, but at the end of the day, let's come together as a community and be able to move forward in a positive manner together.
Thank you, Alderman McClanathan. Alderman Ross.
Nothing tonight, man.
Thank you. Alderman Parker.
Nothing tonight.
Alderman Busker.
Nothing this evening.
Alderman Brashaw.
Nothing this evening, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. That concludes councils, so that we will move on to item number 18, which is public comments.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Hello, my name is Lynn Folgate. I'm Publicity Chairman for Freeport Moose Lodge. When I finish, I'll give a copy of this to each here so you don't need to take notes. And I might even ask that a copy be distributed to the wide variety of those who aren't here so that my efforts won't be in vain. I'm speaking for Moose Lodge 162, an International Moose Fraternity. We have a special guest scheduled for Tuesday, December 1st, 2020. Our guest is Bruce Bergner, Supreme Governor of the Loyal Order of Moose. We are extending an invitation to the Freeport City Council, Mayor, City Manager, Alderpersons, Police and Fire Chiefs, and their employees and directors and their employees to join us in hosting this meeting with Bruce. Of course, the city clerk and city and news media are also included in this invitation. We obviously need to know the number of meals to prepare, so we need to call in ahead of time. Call the number on this, let's don't give it to save time. I guess it will anyway. It's area code 815-232-1516. Just give your name and a number of count for the meal and the meeting. We are inviting you to meet Bruce at the Freeport Moose at 5:30 p.m. This includes a complimentary meal followed by introduction of Bruce and his remarks. We are hosting this event in the bingo hall, so you may enter by either the west or east main doors. Please remember the Moose supports Moose Heart for children in need of a home. Moose Heart was established in 1913, is located 100 miles east of here. For the past 107 years, over 12,000 children have been cared for in loving homes at our child city called Moose Heart. These kids have come from lost or broken homes and range in age from toddler through high school. If you know of children in need, contact the Moose. Also, I'd like to remind you that our Freeport Moose Lodge has bingo every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. and Sunday bingo by the Women of the Moose at 2 p.m. By state law, bingo is open to the public, and it helps us support our children at Moose Heart. In closing, let me give you a few facts about Moose Heart. About Freeport Moose. The Moose was established 132 years ago in 1888 by John Jacob Henry Wilson in Louisville, Kentucky. The Moose International is for both the United States. It includes Canada, Great Britain, and Bermuda. Freeport Moose was chartered 111 years ago on September 20th, 1909, and is the oldest Moose Lodge in Illinois. It was first located downtown at 118.5 East Stevenson Street for 8 years. That location is now the east side of a parking lot used by Newell Companies. The second move was in 1917, was to a new 3-story building at 103 East Main Street. This was 3 years before our trolley was installed in 1920. The trolley tracks were removed in 1968, so they were only there 48 years, while our lodge was there for over 50 years. But the second location is now also a parking lot. The third move in 1970, the lodge built a new building northeast of town in Lancaster Heights at 2342 Kenneth Drive, just off Highway 75. After 31 years, the lodge moved back into town in 2001. It has been at our fourth and present location for 19 years. That address is 601 East South Street, Freeport. While changes occur over time, the Freeport Moose Fraternity remains strong over 111 years. We invite you to hear more about the Moose from Bruce Bergner, Moose Supreme Governor. Thank you for your attention. Now I have a copy for each of you, so we'll have the information on our lodge, address, phone number, and date you need to call by November 24th. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. We will move on to item number 19, which is the executive session. Madam Clerk, could you please read this?
Exemption number 2 will be used pursuant to 5 ILCS 122C2, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. Exemption 6 will also be used pursuant to 5 ILCS C6, the setting of a price for sale or lease of property owned by the public body.
Thank you. Is there a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
We have a motion by Alderman Busker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Ross. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Misick,
Aye.
Berberet,
Aye.
Borneman,
Aye.
McClanathan,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you. So Alderman, if you could please stay connected, and if department heads could please disconnect now, we'll enter into executive.